Hello everyone, I'm Kat, and tonight, 4:11 in the morning, we are going to be talking about the cost of glazes. I know that potters, if you don't have a glaze, I guess you can glaze and glaze components, so it would be really hard to just fire your pot and sell your pots. People would not be as interested maybe if all you have is the raw clay all the time. Some of that's pretty cool. But just as a functional potter out there to the public, most people want bright, shiny, bluey, green glazes, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about some of the costs of buying glazes. Now, my supplier is Trinity Ceramic Supply in Dallas. And if I'm looking, say I want to get some Amico obsidian, I'm looking at $17 for a pint. I'm trying to get the cat away from the coats. Anyway, so one pint is $17. Well, surprisingly, a pint can go quite a ways, a lot further than I would have expected to begin with. Especially when you're layering and then you layer others, and so you don't use just that one pint. But say you only have $17, caramel. Y'all, I can't even stop. Okay, so backing up, I'm sitting instead of standing tonight. I injured myself with the watermelon trying to put it in the refrigerator. It slipped out of my hand. I tried to save it. I fell into the refrigerator, hurt my shoulder, hurt my knee, dropped the watermelon on the floor. Luckily, it just split. It didn't just like kerplute everywhere, but my refrigerator tried to eat me, and that's not cool. Anyway, I'm such a klutz. So back to the glazes. $17 for a pint. If you sell your pots, that 17 is a pretty reasonable price for like an Amico. You can get up to like, from what I see, $20 or $30 for a pint of glaze, which over time, although they're really beautiful, and as my last kiln opening showed, I got all kinds of really beautiful looks from that. But right now I'm working on mixing up some more glazes. Apparently my Facebook memories showed that did the exact same thing about a year ago, and then the year before that I was making my first initial glazes. So I had a few from that one that really came through all the tests. Then I had a few more last year, and so now I'm trying to add in a few more this year. So I'm testing out quite a few different glazes that I found here and there between mastering Cone 6 glazes and my Amazing Glaze book 1 and 2, John Britt's mid-fire book. I think those are the ones. And I've, of course, been on YouTube all over the place trying to find good recipes and unusual things. But I'm going to be doing a really large test. And I'm just feeling like I'm never going to finish glazing them all because I'm having to do it a little bit at a time, especially tonight with my injury. Anyway, okay, so $17 to $30 for a pint of pre-mixed glaze. What do you have for that? You have a lot of, they have some really interesting colorations. They are very convenient. You can just brush that stuff on, and you don't, other than trying to maybe mixing it a little bit more and that kind of thing, you're pretty much set. So the ease of use is really well worth it. It takes forever to brush on, and that gets kind of annoying because I'm more of a dip and pour. But that can take a lot of time, so you kind of have to put your time into it as well. So as far as making glazes, you just have to have certain components. Some people start with, like I did, I found a couple glazes I wanted to try. I got enough material. You can buy things in a pound, 5 pounds, or 50 pounds. I got my basic ones originally I got silica in 50 pounds because I knew I would use silica for everything. I got some EPK, and I got, oh my gosh, I can't pronounce it, Gersley borate. Those were the main ones that I got. and I got a couple little colorants and things like that, but I spent a lot of money getting those 50-pound bags. And then looking on here at Trinity, going through the shop. Okay, where's raw materials? I'm looking at raw material price. So a 50-pound bag, come on up, computer. I just added a new mouse. All this time I've just been using the touchpad. Okay, so ceramic chemicals. Let's go with this. So starting with the Gersley borate, and I know, just correct me. But I mean, I'm East Texan. So I can get a 50-pound bag of Gersley borate for, let's try that 50-pound bag, for $75. Y'all might be able to find it a little bit better or worse, but $75 for 50 pounds or $130 for 100 pounds. And then, so that was one of them. Now, with that 50-pound bag, you can make a lot of different glazes with that. Then I had, let me go back over here. So excited about my new mouse. Then I had the, let's see, Nepheline cyanite. And so that one's not as expensive. I got a 50-pound bag for somewhere around $36. I think back then it was like $30. But things have gone up quite a bit lately. But yeah, I think my first one was around $30, but $36 now for y'all, or thereabouts. If you have to ship it, that comes into a lot of money. And so right now we're at $75, $36, and then silica is, go in here, silica. So I had 4 things. Silica is $32 for a 50-pound bag. So that's not as bad. So you can almost get 2 pints of glaze and get one bag of silica. So you kind of look at that. But where we get into all of this is almost every recipe you see, like I have Al's base. Al's base only requires 3 different chemicals for the base part, and it makes kind of a, I call it Al's Winter White. I got the base from a recipe he gave me called Blue Dawn. And so I took the base, and it makes a great winter white color. You can add other things to it, and that runs up the price. But his base, I have 3 chemicals with another recipe I was looking at tonight and thought about making, because I actually have built up enough to where I have all the chemicals for it. Counting the colorants, it was 12 different chemicals. So you can't imagine going to the store for the first part when you first start and spending all that money. That's a lot of money. A lot of the side stuff I get in 1 pound increments, like red iron oxide, I get in 5 pounds, because I'm not a production potter. I'm just doing this for fun right now, and like 1 sale a year, maybe. Anyway, so huge amounts can be spent, huge amounts. And then you have to look at what what your storage system is. I have no good storage system. Whenever I'm making my pottery, or whenever I'm doing my glazes, everything is out. It's just a giant mess. Drips everywhere. I have to mop everything when I'm done. Anyway, I'm in that state right now. My entire garage is covered with chemicals, and I'm just praying that I do not get called in for police questioning with all the white powders, trying to convince me that I'm cooking up meth or something. But no, I'm just making glazes, and not anything illegal. As long as nobody reports me and gets me in trouble, they can look and measure all they want. So anyway, so with my first round of glaze testing, I came up with, like with Al's Winter White, I came up with Odyssey Clear, Chun Blue from Amazing Glaze, and gosh, a floating blue recipe. So those were the ones I started with, because some of the similar components, the Chun Blue, I didn't have OM4 ball clay, so I substituted it with EPK, which they're not the same thing. I didn't know any better, but the glaze worked, and it works on my stuff. So that's a happy accident, and I'm gonna keep it that way. The first part is getting your chemicals together. Then you have to have a scale. Then you have the scale. Where I'm coming into problems now that I'm getting a little more complicated with chrome is mine only goes to 0.1. I really need it to go to 0.01 or 0.02. I need to have that double number following, because I use such tiny amounts of that one chemical. So there's that. I have to kind of alter my amounts just so I can measure out the right amounts. So the next thing, whenever you're doing glazing, that you have to worry about if you're making your own is specific gravity. So you want the right thickness every time so you get the same results. Your kiln has to be, this works for either your home or your bought pints or your glazes that you make. Depending on the kiln, how fast it cools, how slow it cools, if you've got a hot spot, all of that changes your glaze. So you can get totally different reactions for your glaze depending on wherever you put it in your kiln. So that can change everything too. Something you thought was great when you put it on top, you put it on bottom, and it's totally different. Still probably looks great, but it's totally different or runs more. So we've got the scale, we've got the chemicals. You need something to measure your specific gravity with. I've got several of these little beakers, and it goes with, this one's a 50, but I have the 100 that I use to measure the specific gravity. I also have a graduated cylinder that I use. I try to get as close as I can, but you can measure like 50 times and get 50 different numbers, but usually they're within a ballpark. So getting the specific gravity consistent when you like your results is a very big thing as well, because that can mean the difference between something running so far off your pots and ended up, which if you go back and look at any of my first videos, you're going to find terrible destruction of kiln shelves. So I learned really quick how to fix those, but too much specific gravity and lots of messes. But I was a brand new potter, had never seen even a firing in person, and I'd never mixed my own glazes. I'm just following recipes, didn't have the concepts down, and I just had so many variables. I was just attempting all at one time, so of course I'm going to have some monstrous failures, but I came up with some glazes that I liked, and I came up with how thick they needed to be that I liked. And then the next set, I came up with some more recipes, some more complicated chemicals, until now my entire garage is full of chemicals. But and I think the talc is probably worth its weight in gold right now because of all the problems with the mines. Once again, that's another thing. If you switch from one company to another, or it's mined in a different spot, guess what? You have to retest because it's all different again. Anyway, so we've got now the scale, we've got the chemicals, we need recipes. I would suggest as you start out, let's not go with the 12 chemicals unless you've just got a lot of money to just burn. Start with something simple, like the Owl's base, and I'll show you on my next video what all I did go into that, because I've made a test where I'm doing a line with cobalt, because Blue Dawn requires 5% cobalt, which cobalt is $60 a pound. So if there's any way to find out where the saturation is and reduce that amount, that cuts your costs down, and it doesn't cut into your profits as bad as if you only need 1 gram per 100 gram recipe. So that makes a big difference. Things like lithium, $42 a pound. So I just got another pound of lithium. Wow. Okay. I got a few pounds of things, and I got some more cones, which you're definitely going to have. I got cones. I got one rib because I've lost my rib, and I spent like $200. OM, I got a 50 pound bag of OM for ball clay because I didn't have any of that. I'm finally just now a couple of years in getting a regular ball clay. Then I got like a pound of lithium, a pound of I've already had the tin, so just a few pounds of things, and then a little 5 pound bag of red iron oxide, $200 and something. So yeah, it gets to be a lot. So start with something small and go from there. Like with Al's base recipe, I can add all kinds of colorants, so I can get like half a pound of a colorant and start from that. You can use rutile. You can use rutile's expensive too. That was one of them I got. Rutile is, let's see, rutile, where are you? My computer decided to shut down while I was in here. Well, I can't get to it now. So my mouse is not working. Okay, there we go. Raw materials, going to carbonates and oxides. So let's see, rutile. Wrong way. Okay, so like zinc, I can get 1 pound of zinc for, let's see, $14.50, which I did get 1 pound of zinc. You can get titanium dioxide, which is what I got, which will help opacify the base, like Al's base. Some of the others require it to make it more opaque. So it's more like a white glaze once you do that full on white versus a clear glossy. I've got, let's see. Man, I'm sore. Stupid watermelon beating me up. Okay, rutile light is $28 a pound. So, and just about every recipe uses rutile. It's things like that cost just a bunch of money. But once again though, if you can make it, some of these things you can only get a few pints for the same price that you can make an entire batch for once you have them collected. So that's kind of the way I went, and I'm kind of a nerd, so I like mixing up chemicals and doing all kinds of things. Soap making, same thing. Just dyeing wool, all these things are chemicals, and you put the right chemicals in together. So I almost like it better than making pots. I can say that, but the glaze is where it's at, you know. Except for my pots are not that great, so the glaze has to cover up a whole lot of sow's ears. Mal, this is Carmel. She's always a part of everything. I have my book that I'm working on for this glaze testing. It's like I have dots, like I have dots on the bottom to correlate to what color that I'm going to write in here with whatever the dots are. I've already messed that up too. I'm too attention deficit to, I can mix the glaze, but once I get up here, things just get overwhelming. And so, Carmel, please back up. Anyway, I'm digressing, and y'all are probably done watching me already. But so my next video is going to be on this massive testing that I'm doing. I've made all these test tiles, and I've just been working on mixing up glazes for the past multiple days whenever I'm off of work. And I'm trying like Lumos from Dante Earth Nation. Yay, Dante. I love watching his stuff. He mixes a lot of his own glazes, and so that's where I was like, watched him, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. I got this. And so his was the one that really encouraged me. So Dante from Earth Nation, you can look up. He has Lumos. He has all different kinds of glazes that he has on there, and he's on his Discord. He shares a lot of the recipes, and on some of his videos, he shares the recipes. And so he's a little rough around the edges. So if y'all get offended by that, then don't go watch him. But I find him quite funny. Anyway, so like this is what I'm working on. This is a total test pot because it has a crack at the base, and there's no way I can use it for the picture that I wanted to make. But I've got a red that I made. I used some mason stain with Al's base, so about 1/4 pound of mason stain, which is around $15, went into the making of this, and I got probably, oh, I can't even say how many quarts of glaze out of that. Then I used one I got from Amazing Glaze, which is purple. Under that, I got one from Amazing Glaze, which is floating blue, and then on top of this is Lumos. And so I left a big space for it to run on the bottom, so hopefully I get some good drippage, but it doesn't crawl. I kind of think it's going to crawl some, but I can't use it anyway, so it's just a good container for, like, I don't know, dried flowers or for paintbrushes, things like that, which is probably what I'm going to do with that. Anyway, don't be afraid. Start small with your glazes and find a tried and true recipe before you start trying to go off on your own and creating wild things. Don't make a lot at one time when you haven't tested it out to see how it's going to do in your kiln. You may hate the color. You may hate the way it looks. Then you've got a 5-gallon bucket full of stuff you hate, which is terrible. But once again, I tested Seltzer Chun or Seltzer Temuco out of John Britt's book. Looked great on my test tile. I mixed a bunch of it, put it on several pots, and I got all kinds of cracking along the bowl. So yeah, I thought that was a waste, but then recently I've really been thinking of franking glazes. So I'm going to mix that Seltzer Chun or Seltzer Temuco with another glaze, half and half, and see what that looks like. I bet you it'll help fix that problem a little bit, or it'll just turn it into terrible disgustingness. That's going to be in my next kiln unloading too, so you get to see if there's disgusting yuckiness going on. Guarantee there's going to be some, because I'm going wild. I'm going wild with mixing my glazes up. So now I have multiple glazes that I've done through the time. I've come up with some new ones that I'm testing, and then if I can mix some of mine together to make another glaze, there I am with more glazes. You can also do that with the store-bought glazes. You can mix the two together, not just layer them, but mix them together and see what you get. Go for it. I mean, it's just pottery. I don't fall in love with anything until after I get it out of the kiln the last time, and even then I don't fall in love with it because usually Carmel can jump up on the counter and knock it over and break it. And now I'm a klutz, hence the watermelon incident earlier. Anyway, this is going very long, and I just wanted to give you a heads up on what to expect next week. I'm going to have that kiln opening. Then I'll have later videos of really showing me mixing the glaze and showing you how I did it and what to kind of watch for and how they turned out. So kiln opening next week. The next week will be all the results of exactly what I did. So there's that. And I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. Sorry I rambled so much, but really sit down, look at the costs. Is it cheaper just to start with a couple pints when you're brand new? Probably, yeah. Don't just be like me. Don't be like me. Just going willy-nilly crazy everywhere. Or you can be like me and just go willy-nilly crazy everywhere, because I'm going to still do it that way. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and come visit me for the next video opening, because it's going to be a big doozy. Thank you. Bye.